All right. Good morning. Good morning. How are you doing today, Donald?
Good morning, Jeremy. I'm doing good. Looks like you're growing a little hair back.
Yeah. You can't even see where my scar's at anymore.
Well, that's good.
Yeah.
Getting the
The only bad
beard and everything.
thing is you can see how old I am now. Look at all this white hair.
That's why I keep mine really short. And I've got this big shadow for some reason in my screen. I don't know what's going on here.
Yeah, you do. Kind of
Maybe.
odd.
Oh well, I'll deal with it. Maybe you can't see my shingles scar too bad.
Hello, Nigel. Thank you for joining us.
Morning, Nigel. Nigel, where again are you from? It may be afternoon with you. Not sure. I think he's from.
I think he's from England.
I think so.
Yeah, I think he is. Nigel's been a big supporter of all the
Yeah,
Things Network. He's appearing on just about every show, it seems like.
that's awesome.
Yeah.
Awesome.
It's like,
Appreciate it.
Nigel, how do you have the time? I just barely have enough time to do one show a week.
That's me. I'm just like I stay so damn busy with everything, man. It's just crazy. It's a
Well,
good afternoon
yeah,
for
we're
him.
not we're not on a regular basis. Not like what we wanted to be in the beginning.
Yeah,
But at least we're not going through a 6 or 7 month hiatus like we did that one time.
yeah. Try to get on a regular routine at some point in time. It's just hard with different schedules.
Oh, I know how that can be. um, Especially with a schedule like yours.
Yeah, I stay pretty busy with this or that.
Yeah.
While
Okay.
you're,
Huh?
I was going to say you're sharing out. While you're sharing out, I was going to kind of throw some stuff out.
Yeah, I did get show shared out to a bunch of places.
Okay, you already did all that. So backlash. We're talking about backlash today. Uh, It was on Saturday, May 10th, 2025, which was not that long ago. It was at the Enterprise Center in St. Louis, Missouri.
The attendance is 17,155. I thought they announced a different number that night.
They could have. So originally it was held from 99 to 2009. It was discontinued but reinstated in 2016. Of course, they had wrestlers from both Raw and SmackDown at the pay per view. As far as matches go, we had 5 matches contested. Uh, not necessarily in order, or it probably is in order. Jacob Fatu versus LA Knight, Damian Priest, and Drew McIntyre in a fatal four way. They've been building a whole lot uh, with all those guys. Damian Priest and seems like Damian Priest and Drew McIntyre's feud is still ongoing even after this match.
Oh yeah, in a big way too.
Um, Lyra Valkyria versus Becky Lynch. That has sparked over the past few weeks with Becky Lynch turning on Lyra, which led up to this match here after her return, Becky Lynch's return. Dominic Mysterio versus Penta. That was a really good match. Gunther versus Pat McAfee. And then, of course, the main event, John Cena and Randy Orton.
That match did not go anywhere near the way I thought it would.
The Cena Randy.
Yeah.
Yeah. It was definitely different. Pull this back
Well,
up.
Randy is the hometown hero. Um, and it was revealed in the post show that Randy was actually worried about whether the fans were going to cheer him or boo him out the building, even though he is from St. Louis.
I don't know why they would boo him. Um,
No,
he's
he spent the majority of his career as a heel, and fans like him better as well. Until now, they liked him better as a heel.
he's still he's on that border. To me, he's on that border of he is, technically the baby face, but he's still got that. Uh, still does heelish type things.
He's
Uh,
like Stone Cold.
yeah, yeah. Um,
He's like Stone Cold, where he can do just about anything, but he's so revered and respected that the fans just don't want to boo him.
right. Um, who knows how many more years he's got, wrestling. I would say less than 5, and he'll be retiring because he's been around a long time.
Let's see. He is 45 right now. He just had a birthday last month. So yeah, if he can stay in shape, he's got a good 5 years left to go
As long
before
as
his
it doesn't get injured, that's the big thing. Make some
yeah.
notes. See if I can find a piece of paper and scribble on.
So to start off Backlash, um, they had a guy named Pershard Owens do the Star Spangled Banner. I've never heard of this guy. Have no clue who he is, but I have to say that was one of the better performances of that song I've ever heard.
I didn't get to see that part. I didn't get to watch the show when it came on. I had to watch the replay,
Okay.
and they cut all of that stuff out on the.
Well, his part was, I think, was still a part of the pre-show.
Okay,
So you may have to go back and watch the pre-show to get it because he was right there at that end. Um, I thought he did a very, very good job at it. Um, let's see if I can look him up. Obviously, there has to be something to look up. He's on Spotify. Oh, he's from St. Louis as well.
okay.
Uh, he doesn't appear to have a very big following. He's got 5,500 following him on X. He's got 3,500 monthly listeners on Spotify. So he doesn't have a real big following. So maybe after performing at Backlash, will help him out there a little bit because I thought he was really good.
I
I
have to
thought
see
he,
if I can't find that somewhere and watch that part.
yeah, I would say at the very end of the pre-show. So so then we go into the fatal four way match. Um, these these are four very heavy hitters. Um, they don't leave anything to chance. When you consider the four here, I would almost say that LA Knight is probably the lightest hitter, and
Lighter than Dominic?
huh?
Lighter than Dominic?
No, LA Knight.
Yeah, lighter than Dominic.
I'm talking about in terms of intensity and how far he pushes things.
Okay, I see where you're going.
Like with Jacob, Damien, and Drew, all three of them, they can be stiff as hell.
Yeah,
Um, LA Knight can be too, but just not quite on that level like the other three are. But he is still damn good. Um, and LA was actually my pick to win this match.
really.
Yeah, because I was halfway expecting Jacob to lose the title because of interference from Solo. With how things have been going the last few weeks, it's like how things were with Kevin Owens and Chris Jericho when Kevin had the Universal title, and Chris Jericho was accepting matches on Kevin's behalf. That's how Kevin lost the Universal title to Goldberg, and I was seeing that same thing with Solo and Jacob, and I'm thinking, okay, Solo is going to cost Jacob the U.S. title. That didn't
I,
happen on this one, but I think it will happen somewhere down the line.
well, I see. You know, my pick with this was Jacob. Jacob was going to retain. I still expected some solo interference, um, but still come out on top. I don't think they're going to pull that title away from him for a while. I think he's got it for a few months. Um,
Yeah, probably. Um,
where it comes to a head, it's going to be solo and him at some point in time. I just don't know where, when. Um, of course, they brought that new guy in. Um, can't think
Jeff,
of his name. Yeah, so I see him and Solo probably going at it before, or him and Jacob going at it before Jacob and Solo going at it.
yeah. Uh, I was real surprised to see Jeff debut. I didn't even realize he was um, on the free market.
Well, they're
I,
doing a really good job of keeping uh, most of their surprises here lately. Been doing a good job with it.
they're trying to because people keep leaking stuff, and I don't get it. company that you work for, this is going to be a big, big surprise. Um, but the thing with Jeff Cobb is, to me, he's not as well known in the States as he is over in Japan. Um, he he was in AEW for a short spell, and even then they treated him like, at least from my perspective, they treated him like a big thing.
Right.
Uh, but then he was just gone. But what I don't like is that they changed his name to JC Mateo.
In Japan.
Yeah, it was revealed last night that his new name is JC Mateo.
Oh, that's what they're going to call him at Raw.
That's what they're calling Jeff Cobb. I don't like that name, um, especially after they, Michael Cole literally called him Jeff Cobb on the pay per view. So I don't know.
They're trying to stay maybe with that Samoan type name.
Well, he is Filipino. I think he was born in Hawaii. Yeah, he was born in Honolulu. So he does have that Filipino background. Um, hold on, let's see here. Okay, yeah, Filipino descent. Uh, Chamorro. I don't even. I never even heard of that. Um,
That
what most people probably don't realize about Jeff Cobb is that in 2004 he actually represented the country of Guam in the Olympics,
okay.
freestyle wrestling. He didn't win a medal, but he did participate. He did compete at the 2004 Summer Olympics.
Okay.
So that tells you how good he is
Yeah.
to get on that
Well,
level.
yeah. The match was really good. They set the bar pretty high uh, coming out, which kind of figured it was going to be a good match. Um, so of course Jacob wound up winning, keeping the title and all. But that, like I said, the Damian Priest and McIntyre thing is uh, still a big feud. Don't know how much longer they can keep this thing going back and forth. Um,
At least two next week.
yeah, I mean, you got to have some kind of shift to where one starts feuding with somebody else. I mean, how many matches can you do? Was this like the fourth match, fourth or fifth?
Let's see. They had the cash in at WrestleMania last year. Then they did
They did a street fight. Uh,
the street fight this year. They did one of the international shows last year. Um, that was where Damien was trying to run the ropes and it slipped. That was the night that everybody was having issues with those ropes.
yeah,
So there's three. Um, they had the incident at the Rumble. Um, this one here, And then
So you had the Rumble thing incident, then you had WrestleMania, then you had this. Now they're going to have another one.
they were also they were also in the chamber. So there's right there. There's six matches that they were involved in together, um, pay per view wise.
Right.
It got scary there at the end when Damien chokeslammed Drew off of that big stage thing, and it looked like Drew banged his head pretty bad. Um, but Triple H at the press conference said that Drew was doing okay. He was a little banged up, but no, but he wasn't hurt.
Yeah. You got those high impact spots like that. You knew something was going to happen. I started looking um, around the scene whenever they were started their fight, and I was like, where are they going to end up at? You know,
Yeah,
because you knew something was going to happen.
that also left a perfect opening for Solo to make his presence felt.
Right. Get them to eliminate each other, and then um, finish up the match with them two taken out.
And then Jacob looking confused as hell, like, what's he doing here?
Yeah. And you notice he walked back by himself.
Yes, he
He
did.
didn't. Um,
Well, he pushed his way through the two.
and
Uh,
he stopped. He stopped right there towards the end of the match. He's looking and looking around and looking at them, and it's like, okay, I'm gonna go ahead and finish this. He paused for a good bit after the interference.
and if you notice, it was the same way when Jacob made his debut. Tama and Tonga were looking at him the same way.
Right.
What's he doing here? But for them, it was like they were scared of Jacob. Well, Jacob ain't scared of Jeff, that's for sure.
Now, I'm just waiting on that. I'm waiting on that split to happen. I say SummerSlam,
If
if not before, to set up a match between. Um,
if they haven't split up by SummerSlam, I think they will split up at SummerSlam. It just depends on which way they go. They will either have the one on one match at SummerSlam, or Solo. No, Jacob will end up turning on Solo
right.
because
That's
he's
coming.
had enough.
That's coming. Or either Solo's going to turn on him.
Well, either way, Jacob's going to come out the good guy in this one
Hmm.
because the fans are solid behind him. They've been solid behind him.
Yeah, you can start. You can hear the crowd, going back and forth even during this match.
Yeah,
Um, so yeah, I see that. But I had Jacob winning this one. So
yeah. I was leaning towards Jacob losing because of Solo, but like you said, it's too soon to take the title from him. Um,
they got to perceive him as very dominant uh, for a few months.
that is true, but he doesn't really need the title for that.
No.
Um, but I do agree with what a lot of people are saying. He's going to be a WrestleMania main eventer. I don't think there is a question in that. He will main event WrestleMania at some point. Maybe even as soon as next year.
Yeah, he's going to be. I see him in the um, WWE Championship run
Yeah.
at some point in time. If he stays his course and doesn't do anything stupid.
Well, as as high impact as he is, we already had that injury scare last year, where we thought that I think it was his ankle.
Yeah, he hit his ankle on the table,
Yeah,
side announcer table.
and you could see his reaction that he thought it was broke. Luckily, it wasn't. So as long as he's able to stay injury free, he may have a run even as early as next year with that,
Mhm.
because they would be crazy not to. Well, they've already got the rocker strapped on him now, but they would be crazy to not
They
see
got to
through.
really build that storyline up for that. So who knows where they're going with it? And I
Yeah.
don't think they even know. They're just going from show to show, and or maybe a couple of shows ahead, and seeing where it takes everybody.
And where are Tama and Tonga going to fall into this
Yeah,
when they come back? Tonga Loa has been gone for a long time. So, okay, the next match, Lyra Valkyria defending the Intercontinental title against Becky Lynch. I was I was pulling for Becky on this one.
really.
Yeah, I because this is how I was seeing it. That Becky was going to beat Lyra, and then Bailey was going to come back and avenge herself and Lyra and win the title. That's how I was seeing it. I did
At
not.
some point in time, Bailey's gonna get a hold of Becky. Uh,
Yes.
got to. They keep on pushing and talking about that whole thing during the show. Eventually, Bailey's coming back, and they're gonna have a little feud there.
Mhm.
Um, that was a really good match. I had the Jacob Fatu, the Fatal Four Way as the number one match of the night. Um, the only really I say bad match on there was the Gunther match. I was not looking forward to that match.
Oh, I was.
Um, it was a lackluster for me. I just didn't. I couldn't get behind the match itself because I kind of thought Pat would come out and not really know too much far as his wrestling ability, and I mean, you know, it was decent, but it wasn't, a typical wrestling match.
Well, considering I hadn't had a match in a year and a half.
Hmm.
Well, no, longer than that because the last last match he was actually in was the Rumble, and all he did was just come in, get out, and that was it.
Yeah,
But we'll get to him. We'll get to him later.
yeah.
Uh,
Uh,
yeah,
Lyra and Becky were really good.
I was pulling for Becky to win this match because of what was going on. She talked about Bailey, and then Lyra comes in, and I thought for sure this was going to be one of those things where the veteran overcomes the inexperience. Um, though you can't really say that Lyra is very inexperienced because she's been in this business a minute, and has done very well. But I thought for sure this is going to be one of those cases where Becky comes in, she takes the title, and then it becomes uh, Becky and Bailey wrestling each other for that title. That's what I was counting on.
I can see that storyline wise. I had Lyra winning this one. Um, Just didn't know. This is one of those kind of on the fence. It can go either way. You really don't know where they're going with this. I do see the point of Bailey coming in and doing some stuff, and that's eventually going to come out. I figure Lyra is going to be, and I have not seen Raw or SmackDown after this, so if something's happened already, you know. But I see Lyra and Becky, Lyra in the ring, and then Becky jumping her and Bailey coming and helping um, at some point in time.
Yeah, because Bailey has not been seen since WrestleMania. Um, but I'm just kind of curious how this is going to go. But
I think maybe a triple threat at SummerSlam.
that could be. That could be. If they do the triple threat, has to be the one to take the pin.
Who does?
Becky.
Yeah, you
'Cause-
talking about winning,
no, being pinned.
being pinned.
Because I think Bailey will end up with the Intercontinental title, and I think if it comes down to a triple threat, Lyra would need to be the one to be protected, and Bailey pinned Becky for the title.
I can see that. I can see that coming.
Yeah,
And that may be the whole. Well, you still got the Seth Rollins and Heyman, situation. I hope that eventually she becomes part of that stable, and you have both of them um, in the mix of that.
yeah. I'm surprised Becky hasn't aligned with them because why not?
Yeah, you got Breaker in there. Why not have a female in there too?
Right.
And then you got this you know bloodline type force. Not bloodline, but you got this new faction in there that's going to be built up strong. Um, and that can go a bunch of different ways. They can bring, you got Judgment Day still there. You got the White Sick eventually showing back up.
Well, now I'm kind of wondering because Alexa is back and she's been back for 2 matches, but she's still carrying that creepy doll around. So maybe there will be an alignment with her and the Wyatt Six. I don't know where they're going with this, but Alexa won a triple threat match last night, and now she's in the Money in the Bank match
Okay,
for next month.
cool.
So maybe we'll see something there.
Maybe. And that would be a great way to get her introduced into there with you wind up doing that ladder match and somehow or another the lights go out and some crazy stuff happens. She winds up winning.
What I would like to see is that, like you're saying, the lights go out, but when they come back up, Alexa is already at the top of the ladders and she's got the briefcase in her hands. We Nobody sees her get the briefcase, but when the lights come up, she's already got it.
Yeah, and everybody is down in the ring.
Yeah,
You don't know what happened. That would be really good.
it would be. I'd definitely like to see that. And Solo is also in the men's Money in the Bank match.
Hmm. Has anybody ever cashed in on something besides the big titles?
The United States title, Austin Theory.
So I wonder if he winds up winning it, he could very easily go after the feud of them two breaking up or Fatu splitting from him.
He could, but he already said that
Cash in.
he already said last night he's going after the world title. He's going after the world title and bringing it back home. So
I
maybe we'll
just
see something with him and Cena.
I just don't see him as a I don't see him as a main title guy. I just
At least not the world title.
no.
Um, Dominic said that if he were to win the Money in the Bank, he would go after the tag team titles. He said that in a recent interview.
I don't think Dom if Dom gets in it, I don't think he'll wind up winning it. I think they're going to keep him with that title for a little while. Um,
Who's to say that he can't hold both?
yeah, I don't like the double title holding stuff. I like
I'm trying to think. Did I want to say that somebody held one of the secondary titles while holding the briefcase? But I can't remember. I'm pretty
yeah
sure somebody in the past has.
yeah.
Um, but yeah, I was pulling for Becky to win this match, and then there was something there right there at the end where it seemed like Lyra either had her eye poked for real
That's
or
what I was thinking.
something with her nose. I couldn't tell which one she was trying to get to, whether if it was her eye or her nose.
I wonder if she got scratched maybe by a fingernail or something,
I
close to
don't
the
know.
eye or the nose. Maybe she got hit a little bit hard because she could see it even during the pin. She was like in a lot of pain.
Yeah,
Um, so I saw reports where she did have a broken nose, and I didn't dig into it too much because it may have been one of those clickbait type things because they're all the time on social media now. It's like I just look over them because I know it's stupid.
yeah. I'm not. I am not really sure. I don't think Lyra was on Raw 2 days later. If she was, I didn't catch it. But yeah, it did. It did seem like something did hurt her right there at the very end, and then boom, the match was over. I was shocked to see her win in the manner that she did.
Yeah,
Um,
maybe it was audible.
it
After that hit, it's like, look, I'm hurt. End it.
they had gone almost 20 minutes as it was. It was the second longest match of the night.
Yeah, it was a good match.
It didn't seem like it went that long though.
I had it listed on number. Let me go back to that one because that one. Yeah, I had it down as number 4 on the night. But the 4, 3, 4, really two, 3, and 4, as far as me, could have went
Okay.
either way on as far as the best match of the not the best match, but the second best. They were all really close,
Yeah.
at least for me.
Overall, it was a good event as a whole.
Yeah.
Next match. This is one. This is another one I was looking forward to. Dominic Mysterio defending the Intercontinental title against Penta. I was pulling for Dominic on this one.
I was too. I figured he would win. I was probably looking. This is probably the match I wanted to see the most out of all of it. Um, where are they going to go with Dom? Because I'm really invested in that story, and I want to see him break out and become the babyface that he's becoming. And it
Mhm.
may be that whole situation where it's he's a heel, but he's babyface. He's just really not either or. I think he'll still do his heel type stuff, and still be over with the fans because you could
Mhm.
very well hear in the crowd they were very behind Dom and Penta. Um,
You can definitely see the improvement in Dominic in this match. Um, and a new thing that I don't recall him doing before was when he was doing that suicide dive onto Penta, and then he turned it into a DDT.
that was that was impressive.
Yeah,
That was like holy shit.
yeah,
It's like in midair doing that jump over. For those who don't know what we're talking about, it's that whole thing where they're outside the ring and they run the ropes and then jump over the top rope and do a swanton. But he does this, and in air, you can see it in slow motion where how the hands and everything went together with both him and Penta to make it happen. And yeah, he turns into a damn suicide DDT. So it was like, man, that
and
was
and all of
really
that
good.
happened in a split second.
Yeah. So who was it that jumped over the ref during this match? Or not this match,
That
but
would have been Penta,
that was Penta where he jumped over the referee.
because the ref was arguing with the Judgment Day.
Mm-hmm.
So, and and he was in between the rope, and that's when Penta jumped over him, and it was while, let's see, no, because Penta was on the top rope and the referee was distracted, and that was when Chad Gable came and got him.
Yeah. And that was a good way to have Penta lose, Dom keep the title, uh, and take the direction of Penta away from Dom and him and Dom, and then move it back to Chad Gable.
Mhm.
Um, I like that. I want to see him and Americana Chad Gable, fight for a mask versus mask. That's what I want to see, and
That
hopefully
might
that'll be
end up
SummerSlam.
happening at Money in the Bank. Hello, Mort. That might end up happening at Money in the
Or
Bank if neither one of them qualify for the match itself.
yeah, I would like to see that happen at SummerSlam. I think it's a SummerSlam type match.
You think that they can drag it on that far?
Oh yeah, if they do the storyline right and have back forth.
There was an interview that Dominic said recently, where he was being asked why he doesn't do so much more often, and uh, he was talking along the lines of if he did a moonsault every single match, then people are going to be expecting that moonsault every single match. But if he only did it maybe 10% of the time, then people are going to be, holy shit, did you see that moonsault he just did?
Right,
So pretty much
T-
like how we reacted to that suicide dive DDT.
right. I saw an interview with Taker on one of his things, and they were talking about the old school,
Yeah.
and he was going. Taker was trying to. They were talking about the time where somebody had pulled him off and threw him down. Took him off the top rope. And he's like, "Why would you, do something like that if it's one of your signature moves?" So like, yeah, that's just the thing. It's a signature move. I've done it, for forever, And he was like kind of joking. It's like you got to look at it this way. It's like, you know, if you're got these matches going on, it's like does nobody watch any of my matches and see what I do, you know, to prepare for it? You got to have it at some point in time. You got to have that scouting report to where okay, they know what I'm doing and they're countering or doing whatever. So it's just part of the the storyline or the way the game is played in his mind. It's like you can't just keep doing the same move and doing it successfully over and over without eventually somebody has to counter.
Well, with that,
Doesn't make any
I've
sense.
only seen a handful of guys pull him off the ropes when he did that.
Right, and it's what he was talking about. I saw Damian Priest did it.
Yeah,
Um, he's starting to do old school
I
a
think
little bit.
Elijah did that as well.
So I'm wondering if he got the blessing of the Taker, because Taker's like to me like the godfather of the wrestling business. It's like
That's a good way of looking at it. Yeah, yeah. I don't think anybody is respected as much as Taker is.
well, I mean the if you go back, I know we're getting off subject here, but you go back to his legacy as far as in ring performance and um, his keeping kayfabe and really not exposing the character or not exposing himself separated from the character during his run and the amount of injuries and everything he's wrestled through. Um, it was like he's all about business. Business number one.
When it comes to WWE, Triple H is boss. NXT, Shawn Michaels is boss. Undertaker, he's the boss of the bosses,
Right.
more or less.
Forget about the final boss. You know,
Well, honestly, I really don't take him into consideration, which he is just on a different level. But he's board of director though. Yeah, final boss. Yeah, but when you look at it, guess who the final boss took his last fall to? The boss of the bosses, Undertaker. Um, no, I am really happy for Dominic. I am enjoying this run that he's got. It is so well deserved, and his his turn basically is about as organic as it can get.
yeah. I want to see him at some point in time team up with his dad before he retires. Um, I'd like to see that. And I don't know how they will do it. I don't know how they'll do it.
Yeah, because
Um,
even now he's still saying what a deadbeat he is.
yeah. I want to see at some point in time they make amends. Um, he comes out and helps his dad or whatever. That's kind of
I
I don't
think
know.
what it's going to end up being is that Dominic will be Ray's last match, and during that match is where Dominic it clicks and realized that he had been wrong all this time. That's what I'm thinking.
That would be that would be a very emotional match.
It would, yes. And now that they got the AAA organization, so now they have real access to Mexico. So it would be easier for them to have a pay per view in Mexico under the WWE banner instead of AAA. Although they might, well, I don't.
That type match, if that happens that way, that's a WrestleMania match, no doubt.
It would be, yes, but I don't know if they would put WrestleMania in Mexico.
With him
That's the thing that I wonder about.
with a Mysterio versus Mysterio match for you know Mysterio's retirement. Say if I beat you, if you beat me, I'll retire. You know, man, it's like so much stuff could happen during a match. One, he finally figures out, that he's been wrong all this time about his dad. I could see him uh, beating him. They make amends in the ring. Ray hands over his mask to him. Just man, it could be so much emotional stuff could happen at that match.
And Ray is 50. And I think he said at one point that he wanted to retire at 50.
So say they book it right and they get it right and they do this at the next WrestleMania. That could be to me in the same lines as Cody winning and finishing his story. That could be that impactful as far as emotional wise.
It could. Yeah, their match has no doubt has to be at in Mexico, but I don't know if they would put WrestleMania in Mexico. Right now, they're trying to get it into England.
And I'm all for it. I like the matches in the U.S. More than I do off abroad and Crown Jewel and all that stuff. But the fans in those other countries bring the excitement, and they are like really into the show.
Yeah. The thing that worries me though is Saudi Arabia wants WrestleMania, and I don't know if that would be a good thing. They've
Well,
got
you got the
it now, and that's not looking real good either.
you've got all really money at the end of the day. It's about the money. The business. How much money can we make at Saudi? How much can the Saudis? How much money can the Saudis, you know, give us to get WrestleMania there?
Right.
Um,
But I really don't know.
I don't
But
think it would.
that's a conversation for another time.
Yeah,
All right, moving on. Gunther versus Pac McAfee.
this is a horrible match in my opinion. I I, I didn't like it. Um, it wasn't a to me. It wasn't a pay per view type match. Uh,
For me, it was a little better than I expected it to be.
it went about what I thought it was going to be. It was going to be lackluster of the night. Now it still had its good points in there, but as far as in ring skill, it didn't lead up to my expectations. Mostly just a bunch of hard hitting and slaps, and you know Gunther throwing him around for what 20 minutes. How long was it?
Um,
Went longer than what I thought it should. Uh,
a,
14 minutes.
a few days after this, when Pac McAfee was doing his normal YouTube show that he does every day, he was
Hmm.
showing all the bruises on his neck, his chest. He was showing the busted blood vessel in his eye, and all of that just from Gunther's chops. And and you can hear those chops.
Oh yeah, they're loud.
Yeah, Pat Pat got Gunther good a couple times. He got him real good a couple times, and there's a couple times where I thought Pat was actually going to win this match.
Actually, I thought there was going to be some kind of interference type, and Gunther would wind up
There
losing.
was.
Um, Well, I mean, real,
Oh, you mean like Goldberg?
yeah,
I
something
was
big.
expecting him to make an appearance that night.
Um, the place would have went nuts if that happened.
It would have,
And
yeah.
it may be down the line that some that somewhere down the line, but you
The
know,
rumor is they're planning Gunther and Goldberg at SummerSlam. That's
well,
the rumor.
Gunther, as much as he could with his character, kind of gave McAfee some props towards the end, some respect, a little bit of respect, without shaking his hand, which I thought was actually going to happen. Um,
I wasn't. I was genuinely surprised by that.
um,
I did not think Gunther would do something like that.
Acknowledge,
Yeah,
yeah, I didn't either.
because he did that with Randy Orton last year. They shook hands at the end of their match. I think it was King of the Ring. They shook hands after that. Um, but I think the reason Gunther did it this time is because Pat McAfee is not a wrestler.
Right,
He is an athlete. He is athletic. Um,
you
and
could see him very winded during this match.
which one?
McAfee,
Oh yeah.
he was
It had been 3 years since he had an actual legitimate match. Um, but I think Gunther was surprised by Pat a couple times. So I think that's why he did his show of respect to him.
right,
Um, I like that Michael Cole got involved in this. It was I enjoyed that. Um, and poor Wade Barrett had to do commentary all on his
by
own,
himself. Yeah,
which I thought he did pretty good.
he did good. He did good, and I like the way they did that. Because in all reality, he's the reason why this match even started.
Hmm.
So it was a good spot. Get him involved in it. And I just thought about something that somebody told me. Not to get off subject of this match, but did you see the post where Jr. was diagnosed with cancer?
I did
Um,
colon cancer.
yeah, I hate that. Jr.'s been in the business for a very long time.
Uh,
He was at Mid South. I remember him
oh,
announcer back then.
speaking of Mid South, something I picked up a couple weeks ago. Legends of Mid South Wrestling.
Oh my God!
Yeah,
Get that at Walmart?
I, I picked this up at Mega Replay. Remember last year when I picked up some 20 wrestling DVDs for $100? Well, I went back a couple weeks ago and this was there.
How long is it? I'm about to find that. Oh my God, that's like
How long is this?
yeah. How what's the
Well, it's 3 discs.
oh
Uh, it looks like
that's definitely on my buy list now. I didn't even know that was out. Legends of Mid South. Is that what it's called?
Legends of Mid South Wrestling.
I gotta find that. I
So
gotta get a copy of that.
so it looks like throughout the I haven't watched it yet. It looks like throughout the 3 disc, it's like one of them extended documentary things. But yeah, I picked this up at Mega Replay.
Oh my God, on
Yeah,
my wish list.
I had to show that to you.
That's oh my god, that's going to bring a whole lot of childhood stuff out.
Yeah, you might be able to get it on Amazon. I don't know.
That's what I'm looking at. 2013.
Um,
Oh dear Jesus, got Michael Hayes. Oh man, it's got a whole of them.
when when unfolded, this is what it looks like.
4.5 stars on Amazon. I can get it for 20 bucks.
You see what I'm holding up?
Hold on, let me look. No problem. Where am I at? Right there. There we go. Yeah. Uh, Magnum TA, Gordy. Can't tell who that. Maybe Bam Bam Bigelow.
Uh, Butch Reed.
Uh, the okay. Butch Reed, Doctor Death, Michael Hayes, One Man Gang.
This is Doctor Death right here,
Who's
but
behind? Who's next to Michael Hayes?
this is Hacksaw Jim Duggan,
Okay, Hacksaw.
Michael Hayes, One Man Gang, Ted DiBiase,
Yeah,
Junkyard Dog, Jake Roberts. Uh,
it's hard to see.
I don't know. I don't know who this guy is.
Who is that?
Maybe, maybe one of the other original members of the Freebirds.
Let me see. I don't. It could be Buddy Roberts, maybe.
Yeah, I don't know. But Buddy Roberts is really the only one I am unfamiliar with. I know he was a part of the original Freebirds,
Yeah.
but I don't know anything about him.
Yeah, I'm going to find that one.
Um, yeah, I actually want to set for Jim Ross that this is not his first bout. Okay, here we go. He had skin cancer, and then he was cancer free, and now he's got. Let's see. In 2024, he underwent successful cancer surgery on his right hip, and now colon cancer. So this is his third bout with cancer. And this is on top of the two bouts of Bell's palsy that he's had.
Yeah,
So
he's had a rough go at it past
yes,
few years. Um, to
all
me,
40 years.
he's going to be. To me, he's one of the best commentators ever, if not the best. I know we're probably difference of opinion with Jesse and Vince and Gorilla Monsoon, but for the long haul, he has been an announcer for 40, 50 years.
Yeah. Well, Gorilla's my favorite because I love Gorilla and Jesse, and then Gorilla and Bobby. Those two were just amazing together. I also enjoyed Jesse, no, Vince, and Bobby. I never really got to listen to Vince and Jesse.
Vince and Jesse was good back in the day, 80s. Oh, they were good.
Yeah, they were more TV instead of,
Hmm.
and at that point I wasn't into wrestling until after Jesse had left WWF.
Yeah, that's back at the original Saturday Night's main events type atmosphere. So yeah, they were good together. Um, My favorite probably going to be Jerry the King, um,
Jerry
crap.
and Jim.
Yeah, man, my mind went blank for a second. We were just talking about him.
I could see
Um,
it on your face.
but yeah, that's probably my favorite commentators. Them two together.
And now people are saying Michael Cole is the greatest of all time, which I get it. Uh, it just all depends on what you grow
When you
up.
watch,
Yeah,
it depends on when you watch.
yeah. When I started, it was Gorilla and Bobby. Um, it I enjoyed Jim and Jerry. They were great. I enjoyed Michael and Coy. They were great. I'm enjoying Michael and Pat. It's
Well,
just when you get people with real chemistry together on commentary, you can hear the magic.
yeah, and I'll say this too. I really noticed it during WrestleMania. Really hadn't paid a lot of attention to it, but since I've been listening, because when I watch, I'll put my beats on. I'm sitting there on my phone. If I'm not watching it live, if I'm watching a replay,
Uh huh.
I got my Beats headset, which I got on now, and that commentary covers up a lot of in-ring communication. Um, you can hear bits and pieces when they're actually talking. So it's like,
Especially with John.
oh my God, yeah, hit me again. Or you can read his lips. Do it again. Do it again. It's like, come on.
Well, there was one real bad spot with Naya. Uh, Either this year or last year, you could clearly hear her say "stand up," and everybody stood up. Yeah, I I think that was this year.
And I understand that situation when you got several wrestlers in the ring and you're trying to, call shots here and there. I can see that as opposed to, you're in a headlock and you're sitting there. Even Dom did it with Penta. You could see him in a headlock and he's like, did his head down and,
Oh, you
kind of
see
talk.
that in every match.
So,
At least with Dominic and Penta, they can speak in Spanish,
yeah,
and we'd never be able to tell what they're saying.
right.
So they had that advantage. No,
Anyway,
yeah.
back to
So
the show.
going through and Pat McAfee, I actually enjoyed the match because of the differences between the two. And I enjoyed how Michael got involved into it, but I really thought that because with Pat having that football background, that at some point Goldberg was going to come in because we've already established some history with Goldberg and Gunther, and I thought that with him interfering, that was going to lead on to them at SummerSlam, but that didn't happen.
Yeah, and I wonder how many. Goldberg is dominance. They pushed him dominant in WCW. Came in just had to look at, and you hear all kind of stories, especially with Bret Hart, being bitter against Goldberg, but he's bitter with everybody. Um,
The thing that irritates me about what a lot of people say about Goldberg is that Goldberg can't wrestle. When I was doing the Halloween Havoc and uncensored marathons, and then I watch a few other matches with Goldberg in it, he can wrestle.
he's a different type of wrestler.
Yeah,
He's the um,
but
is he going to
he's
do?
showing that he's got wrestling moves that he can do. He may
You know,
not
with
be a Dean Malenko, but
right, he's not a technical type wrestler. He's not your, and he's definitely not your high flyer. You know, you got uh, different wrestling abilities, and you use one of those. He's a brawler type.
but he can do more than what people give him credit for.
I saw a clip, not change this, but I saw a clip, an old clip of Brock Lesnar. You remember him doing that? I forgot what they call it. It's a backward. It's just some kind of somersault off the top rope. He did it on
Oh, the
Kurt
shooting star
Angle.
press.
Do what? The shooting star press.
Press.
He did it on Kurt Angle, and I think it was Kurt Angle, and about broke his neck because he didn't get full rotation.
That was with Kurt Angle at WrestleMania. That almost killed him.
Yeah, he was dazed after that match.
Yeah.
I saw a video clip where he was tag teaming with somebody early on, and he performed it, and man, he was like way across the
Yep.
ring when he landed, and he landed solid. Um,
When Brock Lesnar was wrestling as a tag team, it was with Shelton Benjamin.
yeah,
Uh,
and he performed it, and then he hit it.
yeah. It's just that one time with Kurt where it almost didn't work.
It's kind of like the whole, these bigger guys now, Fatu, and the War Raiders. They're doing stuff off the top rope that they should not be able to do. You know,
Ivar.
yeah. Um, so
Yeah. Think about that. Ivar jumping off the top rope to somebody on the floor.
yeah,
That's a lot of man right there.
you ain't lying. And then if something goes wrong, somebody's hurt, seriously hurt.
Yeah. And,
Um,
I think Ivar did that to Kofi and Xavier, jumping off the top rope to the floor on those guys. They're not going to catch you.
no, and I can see that one of those. Oh shit! Here's that spot. Shit. Here we go.
But Ivar is really athletic for a man his size. It goes back to Vader, Bam Bam Bigelow. Uh, they both jumped off the top rope like they were lightweights. Even Yokozuna was athletic, although he never got up, didn't dare get on top of the top rope.
Yeah.
But that man could move.
He can move for a man his size, and they were very impressed of that too.
Yeah,
So
Earthquake was one of the fastest big men I've ever seen, and even as big as he was, he could throw a drop kick.
can you imagine if Andre was that athletic? Good God!
He was at one time.
I'm talking about like doing major shit off the top rope. I don't think the rope would hold his ass.
Uh, Maybe in the '70s he did. I don't know. He might have done something in the '70s, but once it got into the '80s, that's when he started really getting big for his frame.
Yeah,
But yeah, I've seen clips of his matches from the '70s, and holy cow, he was in tremendous shape.
yeah. As you get older, you're what you could once do when you were younger. You think you can still do certain things, and your body's like, no, can't
True,
do that anymore.
but in Andre's case, he had a lot more going against him.
Yeah,
So, and that's unfortunate because if he had gotten the kind of surgery that Big Show did, then he probably could have gone on another 10 years.
and he'd probably still be around.
Probably, yeah.
May not be wrestling, but he'd still be.
Oh no, he wouldn't have been wrestling. Was Let's see. Okay, he was born in 46, so he would have been 79 right now. But I think Andre might have been able to go on another 10 years, which means Andre would have been a part of the Attitude Area. Can you imagine that?
That'd have been nuts.
Yeah, it would have been.
Oh, I saw
Okay.
like I saw a little thing, a video thing. They were showing a bunch of different things in wrestling. Um, it was like that. WWE has been WWE longer than it has been than it was WWF.
Yeah. It
I saw one where Mae Young and Mark Henry's hand would now be 25 years old.
I, you're talking about that TikTok video. I just saw
Yeah,
that last.
yeah.
Yeah, I know exactly what you're talking about. And what in the hell were they thinking when they did this whole thing about the hand?
The whole even storyline of her getting pregnant. I mean, she's 70 some years old. That shit ain't working no more.
Yeah, it. Number one, somebody had to think about that. And number two, somebody had to think that was a good idea to go with.
Yeah,
Holy cow. And it was around that time that I stopped watching wrestling because it got too stupid. That was one of those reasons.
that one was pretty stupid.
The Katie Vick angle was another one of those things.
That was horrible. That was horrible on
Yeah.
its own right. That's a totally different. That was just come on. I wanted. I wonder if they were like, how far can we stretch the boundaries? You
Oh,
know,
they stretched them.
they did.
What about that match with Vince and Shane McMahon versus Shawn Michaels and God? Do you remember that one?
I don't remember that one.
I do.
That would, that'd have been no. We ain't doing that. Sorry, we ain't doing that.
Yeah. But somebody came up with that idea and somebody decided to run with that idea. I'm just shocked that Shawn Michaels agreed to it because of how strong his faith is.
Yeah.
So I'm just shocked that he agreed to that.
The one gimmick that I wish would have went farther than what it did. Um, it was kind of the anti
Hi,
Taker.
Joe.
Um, hey Joe. Um, God, what is the guy character's name? He was all dressed in white. Um, uh,
Mordecai?
Mordecai. Yeah, I wish they would have went farther with that. I wish they would have went farther with the Brood and Gangrel too.
Oh yeah, I liked Gangrel. I really did like.
Gangrel was a good. It was a good gimmick. I saw a story with him. He was doing an interview and talking about the time he spit blood all over Donald Trump. Um, he was because they asked him about it. I guess it was at a WrestleMania. And he said, "Yeah, I come down there and like, people were like, um, kind of liberal side of it. They were like, oh yeah, it was good. And he was wondering because he told the story of it. He's like, look, I'm coming down the thing, and that's back when we had the big chalices, so I had a lot of blood. And he said, I'm walking down, and people don't realize that I can't see out of my glasses. My sunglasses are it's dark. The arena's dark.
Really?
I can barely see. He said sometimes those things would fog up, so I can't see anything. So he's up there and he's doing the drinking blood. He's like, everybody's like, going crazy. And it's like, wow, I'm really getting over. And he didn't realize why. He's like, man, my God, I'm really getting over. They're like into this. So he's like, he took everything. He got a big thing. He just blew, all the blood out, and people would just went
They,
nuts.
they had one of the greatest wrestling themes, entrance themes. That was one of the greatest ones ever.
that whole entrance and everything with the ring of fire, them coming up through it, and yeah,
Yeah.
it was awesome. But he told the story of the whole thing is like he goes backstage after the thing. It's like you man, that was great. He said you spit over Donald Trump. He's like, oh shit, and he was like, Vince wants to see you. He's like, oh dear God.
Yeah.
He's like, oh dear God, and
The whole point of the Brood, from what I remember reading, was just to get Edge over. That was the whole point of the Brood, was to get Edge over.
but the whole thing was good. But long story short, he couldn't meet with Vince right off, so he's like a week or two later before he gets to talk to Vince about the whole spitting blood off of Donald Trump. He's like, oh my God, I'm gonna get fired, this and that. And it's like it wasn't, I didn't know who it was. It was just, and he finally got the meeting with Vince, and Vince, he sat him down. It's like Vince started laughing about it and all that. It's like, man, that was so good. It's like, oh my God. So what it was is that, of course, Vince and Donald buddies. Vince had planned where Donald Trump was sitting. He put him there on purpose so that Gangrel would wind up spitting all the blood all over him. He said Vince got ribbed both Gangrel and Donald Trump on that whole situation.
And Gangrel was perfect for the Attitude Era. If he had come in any sooner than that, uh, he might have flopped.
It was perfect for that darker time, the pushing the envelope on many different rails, and
He came
it was
in
a really good gimmick.
time. He come in sooner. I don't think it would have worked. The fans wouldn't have been behind him. It would have been sort of like how Papa Shango was.
Mm-hmm.
They didn't know how to take to Papa Shango. Hell, they barely knew how to take to the Undertaker when he first came on.
Yeah, when you first came in, and they were like, everybody's like just looking at what the hell is this?
Yeah,
Um,
but at least he was able to make it work for as long as he did.
yeah, some changes here and there on the character, which
Yeah.
was good.
Okay, let's get to this last match here. Um, John Cena versus Randy Orton, and this is like the 100th time they met each other on pay per view. There was a time back in the late 2000s where it seemed like those two were headlining every single pay per view, and people were so tired of it. What I get, um,
You can't rebrand the same match over and over.
right?
It's kind of like the Damian Priest and Drew McIntyre. I'm getting look, just end that feud and go a different direction with it. Do something different. But
At least with this one, this is the first time where the roles were reversed. Randy's the good guy,
right,
and John's the bad guy.
yeah, this match ended, or this match outcome, predicted. I mean,
I
they're
I
not
think
pulling it off
John
of him
ended
just
up
yet.
winning it, but I was not expecting for the match to go the way that it did.
Yeah,
Um, it was a lot more exciting than John versus Cody.
that it was.
Yeah,
Um, they had this as my number two of the night.
for me, this was match of the night.
Well,
Mhm. And I think it's because um, the whole thing with the rep bumps, the two rep bumps. Uh,
one of those bumps was like, come on, man, you're down too long for that type of little bump.
I know.
And I understand, the whole thing of it. Like my God, you're down for 20 minutes just because you got shoulder tackled or whatever. You know,
I know. But it's
you got to do what you got to do.
it's what we're given with.
Yeah.
So in the whole thing with Nick Aldis coming out with five or six other producers, and then Randy Orton's just RKO's every one of them.
Yeah.
He nailed five or six of them in less than 5 seconds.
Yeah, I would say, that many is a stretch because I mean, you're the fifth or sixth guy, and you saw him do this to everybody. So I'm going to go over there and do something. No,
Nope, my ass is going.
yeah. Realistically, it's like you get three tops. Other guys should have just scattered out of the damn ring.
Actually, I think with the last guy, he didn't even go towards Randy. I think Randy just grabbed him and pulled him down. Um, and I think this is finally going to lead to that Randy versus Nick Aldis match that people are wanting.
Possibly.
Yeah,
I just hope it's not like the Gunther match. You know,
I don't know. Let me check and see when did Nick Aldis last wrestle a match?
of course, he's actually a wrestler,
Yeah,
unlike Randy.
the last match he had was 2 years ago, almost 2 years ago. But he did say in a recent interview that he has kept himself in shape. He's still running the ropes. He's still keeping himself. He's still keeping himself in ring shape in case he does get to have a match. And I think that he needs to have at least one WWE match in it. I think it needs to be at WrestleMania so that he can have that WrestleMania moment because Nick Aldis is a former NWA World Champion. Um, and one of those reigns was over 1,000 days.
Wow.
Yeah. So, but I do think that he needs to have a WrestleMania match. If not, get him in the Rumble. Get him in the Rumble as a surprise entrant. Knock a few guys around and then get out.
Yeah.
I wouldn't mind Nick Aldis versus Adam Pearce. That would be a fun match. Because think about it. Two general managers clash. So why not?
Why not? You've done crazier shit.
Yes, we have. Just like your flashes over there.
Yeah, I saw it. It's because I moved or something. Did something.
Um, no, I was very very happy with that match. Um, Shocked as hell, though I shouldn't be, that our truth came out.
Yeah, that was crazy.
Yeah. Um, and he gets an RKO just like everyone else did. And
And
then,
it's one of those things that nothing will ever come out of it. It's one of those little funny spots in the match. And
well, something did come out of it. Now we got a John Cena versus our truth match
what?
next week, Saturday night's main event.
Really?
Yeah,
Well, I'll say I haven't watched Raw or SmackDown this week. So
it was just announced last night.
okay.
Um, and then John Cena does his belt to the head thing and wins the match. Um, Not surprising because now it seems like belt to the head seems to be his new finishing move.
Not to switch gears, but could you imagine the craziness if our Truth wins the title against John Cena, at least for just one freaking night?
That's what I want.
At least one night.
I think that needs to be John's last match. Not give him put him in our truth now. Put that in December. That's John's last match. Our truth wins that title from John.
That would be insane.
Yeah,
That'd be something nobody ever saw.
but everybody's counting on that one. So, but knowing them, it's probably going to end up being John versus Cody. Cody wins the title from him. I don't want Cody to do that.
You say you don't?
No, I thought Cody did a good job with the title in the year that he had it. Um, I don't think it was quite as exciting as it should have been, although
I
the
agree.
the Kevin Owens thing I thought was real good. Um, but I just wasn't that excited about his whole reign.
Call me crazy, but I'd like to see Dom win it.
What Dominic beat John? Oh, wouldn't that be something?
Yeah.
That might be the match to get Dom over as a babyface for good.
That and that could lead up to the Mysterio versus Mysterio at WrestleMania.
By putting Dominic against John?
No, John against his dad. Mysterio versus Mysterio. Dom winning it from Cena, and then his dad coming in the picture for WrestleMania.
That could be an interesting thought. We could probably spend all day thinking how John's
The different theories and just different theories on how the storyline goes.
yeah,
Dream matches and back and forth.
because we only got 6 more months of John. 6 more months.
John Cena was never one of my favorite. I the whole Daniel Bryan and Cena. I quit watching during all that. Um,
He, I enjoyed him, but he was kind of too cookie cutter to the point where the fans lashed out at him.
well, it's kind of like the back in the day the Hogan stuff. At some point in time, you get tired of seeing the same guy with the title. Over and over and over. And I get it. But it becomes stale.
True.
I don't like the long reigns.
With Hogan, you see, it's two completely different eras. With Hogan, they didn't have the internet and things like that, and today, attention spans are a lot shorter.
Mhm.
Think of how it was with Bruno Sammartino, and he was 7.5 years as the champion.
Yeah, it's totally different time back then where you know so it's just different times
Yeah,
in every way shape or form. Things change, things aren't the same.
but-
Good or bad.
right. So, all in all, with John Cena and Randy Orton, I was very happy with the match. That match could have been WrestleMania main event this
Yeah,
year.
yeah.
It probably should have because that one was horrible. Um, so moving on from that, we got Saturday night's main event. We have 4 matches announced. John Cena versus R Truth. The way I'm understanding this will be a non-title match.
Then he's going to wind up winning it.
I don't know. Um, we got Jay Uso versus Logan Paul for the world title. I don't know how I feel about that match. Damian Priest versus Drew McIntyre in a steel cage match. So that's going to be a good one.
Hope you see blood.
And then we
Not
have
too
CM Punk and Sami Zayn versus Seth Rollins and Braun Breaker.
Punk and who?
Sammy, Sami Zayn.
Okay. I'm just writing this down so I can kind of look at.
So that's the four matches that are announced for Saturday night's main event. Um, I'm going to guess there will be one more match because the other two Saturday nights. Oh wait, no, never mind. The the Saturday night's main event that they had in December had five matches, and then the one that they had in January had four matches.
Okay, so if we're gonna do, if we throw one more in there, you got to throw a women's match in there. Bailey versus Becky.
Well, she's got to come back first, and this is next week, so I don't see that happening.
You got to have a women's match in there somewhere.
Let's see. They should put in a qualifying match for Money in the Bank. They should put that in there. Well, I don't know if they will.
So I don't know what match is going to be first. You want a big one, but you don't want the main one. You know, Cena versus R Truth is definitely going to be probably your main event.
My guess will be they will start with the cage match and then do the tag match, Jay and Logan, and then John and Truth.
I can see that. That would be a good way to go.
Yeah.
You want a big exciting match to begin to get the crowd into it. You know, and you maybe go with Jay and Logan Paul next.
I don't see Logan winning.
God, I hope not.
Yeah, Jay is too hot right now. He's too hot.
And you got a heel. You got a heel champion right now. So
Right. Um, I've been seeing clips of Jay when he's coming out. First, he pulled one kid out of the aisle and did the thing with him. On Monday, he took another fan and he was holding him, and they were both doing the yeet. Um, so Jay is really making a lot of memories with them, and I don't think that he's going to lose that title anytime soon. Uh, for the tag match, so close to call. I'm going to go Seth and Braun.
I would think so because it just makes storyline sense to keep that going.
Yeah.
Um,
Uh, I would expect some interference and maybe even have Becky come out.
that would be good.
Yeah. And if Becky comes out, then that could lead into AJ coming back. So they can do a Seth and AJ, CM Punk and AJ versus Seth and Becky. I definitely wouldn't mind seeing that.
I see Rollins and Braun winning with interference from Becky.
Yeah.
Um, the Damien and Drew match. I would say maybe Damien's going to wind up winning that one.
I think so too because Drew won WrestleMania.
All right, and that's the whole reason why I'm going that direction. As far as Jay and Logan Paul, I see Jay winning,
Yeah, Jay.
and I'm going to go crazy with this, but I see R Truth win beating John Cena.
Well, if the title is not on the line, why not?
Yeah, and that's going to piss uh, John Cena off big time. He's already hating fans and all this and all that in his storyline. Really going to send him over the top,
Yeah. It
and
well,
that could set up a title match at SummerSlam.
no, not some. I really want our truth for December. Win the title in December and then drop it at the Rumble.
Drop out the Rumble.
Yeah,
Oh, you're talking about R Truth winning it
yeah.
at
Our
the.
truth beat John Cena in December at the pay per view for the title, and then drop it to whoever. Maybe drop it to Drew at the Rumble. Why not?
Why not? Crazier things have happened.
Yeah. Besides, more times than not in a retirement match, the the guy that's retiring loses. And who better than our truth to be the one to retire John Cena?
Yeah, you need a. I see a younger talent doing that.
A lot of people are saying Braun, but I can see Braun working with John at some point. But as far as the last match, or go even crazier, let it be Joe Hendry
Really.
against John.
Oh goodness. They'd have to sign him completely over.
Why
They'd
not?
have to completely sign him over to do that.
Well, uh, first of all, Joe Hendry wrestled Randy at WrestleMania. He was in the Rumble. He is wrestling at Battleground next week, 2 weeks. Wait, when? Oh, I don't even have Battleground written down here. So Battleground is. Oh, here it is. Yeah, next week. Joe Hendry is defending the TNA World Title at NXT Battleground against Trick Williams.
Now that would be something to think about if you got Trick Williams in there versus Cena.
Oh, never thought of that one. Never thought of that one. If he gets called up for that. Oh,
A lot has to happen between now and then. They could go. I don't know who's going to be his last match. It'd be somebody he really wants to put over if he's going to wind up losing. Could they pull the Sting? Could they let him retire with the title?
retire with the title and then have a new belt and put it up for grabs at the Rumble, like they did with Flair?
Do that and then retire with it, and then have a tournament for the title.
No, the Rumble.
Talking about the Royal Rumble being the well, then you got the whole
Yeah, like
situation of who you fight at
Ric
WrestleMania.
Flair. Ric Flair won the title by winning the Rumble.
You could do, yeah.
but the way that John Cena is talking about, he's talking about ending the lineage, and then they would have to start a whole new one. I don't want that. I don't want them to start a new lineage.
Well, I don't think it. He's saying that, but in realistically, it wouldn't be. It'd be he retired with a title, and now somebody else is going to
Yeah,
be
but
the new title guy with a new
title they
belt.
got now, the world title they have now is a different lineage from what the world title was 20 years ago.
Correct.
And that's what John is talking about doing with this one. He will be the last champion, and then they would have to create a new title. And I don't want that. They need to keep this thing going from the first champion of Buddy Rogers. But that's something we're gonna be seeing 6 months from now.
Yeah, a lot can happen, and there's so many different ways they can go with stories. Especially with this one, not just in general with a bunch of different stories. So it's interesting to see you know how the writers and all are going to push forward with all this. I'm ready to see Lynch in the six.
Yeah,
I'm ready to see her leading them. So
I'm sure they probably already know what they're gonna go for, but I don't know.
I
But
think they need to start doing teases here and there, and not just pop up. Or it could be, it could be. If they just popped up, it'd be like out of the blue. You didn't expect it. If they start doing teases, then you know they're coming. I think it'd be a bigger impact if they probably just showed up.
yeah, I would like for John, since he's going to be a Saturday night's main event, I would like for him to have the Winged Eagle title.
That'd be they'd have to.
Let's be honest, that belt looks so much better than the one they got now.
Oh yeah, and that might be a way to get rid of that belt look. If they wind up he retires with it and they bring back a nicer looking belt.
Maybe. I was hoping that's what they were going to do with the ladder match when they put the Winged Eagle title with the other one up there. And Cody looks at him, throws away the new belt, and keeps the Winged Eagle title. I was
Yeah,
really hoping for that, but they didn't do it. Whatever.
yeah. I gotta run.
I
I
do too.
gotta.
I got to go to that convention. Um, so next week we have Saturday night's main event on Saturday, and then you have Battleground on Sunday. Um, and then 2 weeks after that is Worlds Collide, AAA, and Money in the Bank.
Okay. Realistically, I could do a show on the 25th.
So we would only be able to do a review on
On
Saturday.
Saturday's main event.
Yeah,
I can also, well, if we did that, then we could do one on the 31st. Because then we could review, the pay per view or the first.
that would make it a longer show though.
Do you want to skip next week or
Well, it if you were saying you were talking about doing a show on Sunday, maybe we could do a show Sunday and talk about just Saturday nights. And then you were talking about doing 31st, and we can do that just on Battleground. And by then,
next week's show could be about an hour and a half?
if we stick to just those four matches.
We never stick to those four matches.
I'm trying. I'm trying.
It's nice to have little conversations about different things
Yeah,
in the mix of it. So
and maybe by then you'll have picked one of these up.
that would be a good one to do. Both of us watch that
Yeah.
and do a review on that. I'm excited about that, man. That's like I'm a Mid South guy. Just I'm a big Mid South guy.
Yeah. When I saw it, it's like I need to get this because so many wrestlers have come from this to WWF. So yeah. Okay. Well, we'll plan on doing a show Sunday
Okay.
and stick it to Saturday Night's Main Event, which is the 39th edition.
And Saturday night's main event is on the 24th. Is that what you said?
Yeah, Saturday Night's Main Event is on the 24th. That's also my daughter's birthday.
Okay. One of my sons is graduating on the 24th that morning, so
Okay.
really depends on what we got going on. If I'll get to watch that, I don't. Well, shit, I got to figure out how I'm gonna watch it because it's on regular cable, isn't it?
Well, it'll be on NBC and Peacock.
If it's on Peacock, I can watch it
Yeah,
because I don't have
it'll be on
cable. So,
Peacock.
all right.
And my daughter's going to be 20 years old.
Ooh.
No, that's where the white hair is coming in. I mean, look at it. It's like this big pool, and it's kind of shooting up this way.
Yeah, it's all your kids growing up, man. It's we're it's rough. You remember when they're babies, and you remember all the the
I
uh,
can still
memories
clearly
as
see
young
going
and
to the hospital when she was about to be born.
right, and then you're like you turn around, and next thing you know, they're adults and they're getting married and having their own kids. It's like,
Yeah, so how did this happen?
yeah, I mean, my oldest is 30.
Yeah,
Um,
but that's the way life goes.
yep.
Yeah.
And I start thinking about myself getting older. I'll be 54 this year. It's like, my God, I'm getting close to 60. And I look at like, Jesus,
You know,
you know,
I'll be 45 next month.
oh, you're still young.
I'm still young, but damn it, I feel old.
You start getting, creeping up to that 50 mark.
Well, look at my hair, look at my beard. I look like I'm 50 already.
It's just part of, getting old sucks. Your body starts breaking down and doing, different things you can't do anymore, but, it sure beats the alternative. Like I'm around till 90 at least.
Yeah.
So,
Yeah, so that's why I'm trying to get myself into shape. I did a short exercise program this morning before doing the show. I did the program, took a shower, ate breakfast, and got right on here. It just boom, boom, boom. So
yeah, me and my wife had a date night last night, the first in a very long time. So I took her out to eat. Got back here,
yeah, you gotta
not
have
too.
those two.
Yeah.
Okay, so we will plan on doing a show next Sunday, and we will talk about Saturday night's main event. Um, and by then we'll have well, then right after our show, then it'll be Battleground.
Hmm.
That should be fun. But you usually don't watch NXT though.
Usually not. I may, it really depends on what I got going on Sunday. There's so much going on.
Oh, Battleground's going to be good. You got Joe Hendry versus Trick Williams. You got Stephanie Vakir versus Jordan Grace. Obafemi versus um, Miles Bourne for the NXT title, and Miles Bourne is rumored to be dating Stephanie Vakir.
Really.
So that's a lucky boy right there.
Valkyrie, is that the vampire-ish looking chick?
No, Stephanie Vakir.
Okay, I have to look her up.
She is the one that has like the claw marks on her eyes when she wrestles.
Okay, okay, I know you're talking about.
Yeah. Yeah. All right. Well, we will go ahead and call it a day. I got a convention to go to, and uh, we will see you all next week. Have a good
Have a
day.
good one.